Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of ISKCON.
Thai Svecha Bhutai Rupai. Kale Kale Swayang Vibho. Karma Durvishahang Yanano. Bhagavan Tat Karoti Hai. O Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, by your sweet will you appear in various incarnations, millennium after millennium, and act wonderfully, performing uncommon activities that would be impossible for us. Purport, the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuthanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of a religion, at that time I descend myself. Thus, it is not imagination, but a fact that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by His sweet will, appears in different incarnations such as Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Nrsimha, Vaman, Parashuram, Ramachandra, Balaram, Buddha, and many other forms. Devotees are always eager to see one of the Lord's innumerable forms. It is said that, just as no one can count how many waves there are in the sea, no one can count the forms of the Lord. This does not mean, however, that anyone can claim to be a form of the Lord and be acceptable as an incarnation. The incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead must be accepted in terms of the descriptions found in the Shastras. Lord Brahma is eager to see the incarnation of the Lord, or the original source of all incarnations. He is not eager to see an impostor. The incarnation's activities are proof of his identity. All the incarnations described in the Shastras act wonderfully. Keshavadhrita Meena Sharira Jai Jagadisha Hari. It is only by the personal sweet will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that He appears and disappears, and only fortunate devotees can expect to see Him face to face. Kale Kale Swayam Vibho. In every age, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Swayam, personally appears. Although He is Vibhu, all-powerful, greatest, and here also says, Sva-ichha, He appears by His own personal sweet will. By His own will, the whole universe is going on anyway. There's His Ichha Shakti, just by the desire of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything is going on. The scientists are examining how everything is going on, how the seasons are changing and how the planets are moving and how the cells in the body are interacting. And they give this reason and that reason. Well, the white blood corpuscles and the red blood corpuscle because of this and because of that. So they're finding the reason, they want to find the reason. But the ultimate reason is because of Krishna. He is Sarva Karana Karanam, the cause of all causes. There are so many problems in science, in mathematics. Problems means they've discovered so much, they want to find out something more, find out why is this, because of this, why this, why that. The ultimate reason is because Krishna wants it. That's why. That they don't know. Krishna, by His will, everything is going on. Mayadhyakshena. Prakriti, Suyate Sacharachara. It's by Krishna's wish, under His adhyaksh, under His control, under His direction, under His supervision. Everything is going on, and also, by His own sweet will, if He wants, He can come. And as it happens, He does come. He doesn't have to come. But He comes time to time in various incarnation forms, such as here Prabhupada has written, Keshavadhrita Meena Sharira Jai Jagadisha. The Lord comes as a fish. Now if we tell people the Lord comes as a fish, the Supreme Personality of God comes as a fish, they may be surprised, at least in the nasty country where I come from, fish means you walk past the shop and there's this nasty smell coming out where they're selling fish. So why would the Supreme Lord come as a fish? But then if you see what kind of a fish, that is described also in this 8th canto, that is the horn on his, he had a fish with a horn, and that horn itself is a million yojanas. So, not ordinary fish. So you may think, well, that doesn't sound very realistic, but that is realistic for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because Durvishaham, he performs activities which are uncommon, incapable to be enacted by anyone else. He shows he is the Supreme Being. Atimatyani Bhagavan, it's described in the beginning of Bhagavatam. Kritavan kala karmani saharame nakeshava. Atimatyani Bhagavan guha kapatamanasha. Krishna and Balaram, they appeared to be like ordinary beings, but they perform many uncommon activities which could not be performed by anyone else. Guha kapata manusha. Kapata means what? Kapat means cheating. So, in this verse, Krishna is described as kapata manush, cheating man. Cheating, not exactly cheating, but he's showing just like an ordinary person, but he's not an ordinary person. So in this way, the original form of Krishna is more dear even than the other forms. We have Ram, Nrsimha, Varaha, Kurma, yes, some other names are given, Parashuram. So there are many different forms of the Lord, and they are wonderful. Adbhuta Shringha. Nrsimha Dev, his very forms is uncommon, Adbhuta. Everything about him is uncommon. No one imagines. Hiranyakashipu didn't imagine that the Supreme Lord, who he hated very deeply, would appear before him in the form of a half man and half lion. And if you had told him that, my dear Hiranyakashipu, you best of the demons, the Supreme Lord will appear in the form of half man, half lion, he would have said, impossible. But that would reveal his ignorance, because for the Supreme Lord, nothing is impossible. Atimartya, this verse I was quoting. Atimartyani Bhagavan, all his activities, they are atimartya. It means uncommon. Martya means that those who are subject to death. And atimartya means who is beyond death. So Krishna, he's in a different category. Another commonly used word, alokik. Not anything of this material world. So this is Krishna performing many different pastimes. There's different Lila avatars. His Lila avatars especially, they're most wonderful, their activities. There are many different kinds of avatars. There's 6 basic kinds of avatars. But especially the Lila avatars, they perform wonderful activities, unimaginable. Who could imagine that Varaha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will come out of the nose of Lord Brahma in tiny form and then expand himself up to the size of the universe. And though he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he will go deep into the Garbhadak ocean and pull out the earth. Who could imagine such a thing? Kurma avatar. Who can imagine that the Lord would take the form of a giant tortoise? So this is unimaginable. Achintya. Alokik. So many different words which describe that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is unimaginable. So here the demigods, they admit that the Supreme Lord, you are performing uncommon activities that would be impossible for us. The demigods, they're very powerful, and they perform activities which for us are impossible. That's why they're demigods. They're called demigods. Why demigods? Why they're called Deva? What's so great about them? Because they have some powers and some opulences far more than any living being on this planet. We see on this planet some man big and strong. Just like they have Miss World contests, they have Mr. World. who's got the biggest muscles, like a big buffalo. And so he's extraordinary in that regard. He's just very big and strong. Or they have competitions. Who can run the fastest? Who can see who's very quick in running? And all kinds of things. Who can shoot the target very nicely? Someone may be extraordinary. He has some extraordinary ability. But the abilities of anyone on this planet are nothing compared to the abilities of the demigods in heaven. They're far, far above us in their bodily forms. You see, they have this Miss World contest. But even any apsara from the heavenly planets is not even the famous ones, but even any ordinary one. They're far more beautiful, and they don't have to put on perfume to make them smell nice, because automatically from their body attractive smell comes, not like us who give off bad odors, and then we have to wash and put some aftershave and all these things to smell nice. But they automatically, their body smells very nice, and their whole features, the way they move, automatically captures the minds of the demigods. So they're bewilderingly beautiful and attractive. So come to the women, the men, and the demigods means they're not only very powerful above the humans, even the asuras, they're also very powerful, and they have greater sensory. When I'm saying the asuras, I mean in the subterraneanly heavenly planets, the planets where the demons live. So even the demons, they have great bodily strength, great bodily beauty, and long expansion, long duration of life. But they're not called gods, even though they're more than the humans in their abilities. But they're called asuras because they're envious of Krishna. So the demigods, they're called devas. Vishnu bhakta smrito daiva asuras tadviparyaya. Those who are devotees of Krishna, why are they called deva? Why are they called deva? Because deva means one who accepts, one who is worshipable. So they are worshipable not so much because they can, Indra throws his thunderbolts and this and that, but because they are devotees. Therefore they're called deva. We have the English word also, divine. Sounds like it probably comes from Latin. So, same idea, divine, who is something special, worshipable. So demigods, they're very great living beings compared to us, and especially they're great because they are devotees. Sometimes we think, well, demigods, Indra, he's always getting in trouble here and there, but still, he's a devotee. Not only a devotee, but special devotee, because Lord Vamandev appeared as his younger son. Therefore, Vamandev's name is one name he's named in relationship to his older brother, Upendra. Well-known name. Upendra means, or Indranuj, another name for Vamandev, means younger brother of Indra. So, you can imagine, it's a very close relationship. Usually the younger brother, who's got an older brother? Who has an older brother? So usually, especially the younger brother looks up to the older brother. Oh, he's really great. And the older brother looks after him and shows him how to do this and that, and how to move in the world. So there's a very intimate relationship between younger brother and older brother. So Indra, for all he's getting in trouble here and there, doing something he shouldn't do, getting cursed, but after all, he is the older brother of Vamandev. So he's also not an ordinary devotee. He's Indradev, Mahindra, great king. He's got this position to rule over the heavenly planets. No asura can get this position. Only someone who is a devotee who can be entrusted with such a responsibility. So he's Indradev, any devotee, any person who behaves properly, whose behavior is godly. They're called Dev, just like the Brahmanas, they used to be called Bhudev, because they were like gods in this world. Their behavior was so perfect, and they had some power also. So they were called Bhudev. They're like gods on this very earth. So one becomes godly by certain qualities that Krishna describes in Gita. What are those qualities? Krishna describes a big list at the beginning of the 16th chapter of the godly qualities. He says these are the godly. Hingsa Kshanti Raja. No, but that's the knowledge. That's in the 13th chapter. I just slipped my mind now. What is that? Begins with the Abhayam. Abhayam Sattva Samshriti Jnana Yoga Vyavastiti Dhanam Dhamastri Yangyasa Svadhyaya Sthapaja Ahimsa Satyam Akrodhas, and like this goes on. So these are godly qualities. Fearlessness, purification, sattva shuddhi, to be fixed in the mode of goodness, always acting in a way that will remain pure. Abhayam sattva samshriti jnana yoga vyavastiti, being situated in knowledge, not acting ignorantly as a fool, but acting very gravely, always acting for the fulfilling the purpose of life. Dana, giving charity. Dhamma, controlling the sin. So all like this, there's a long list of godly qualities. One becomes qualified as Deva. It's known as Dev. Yes, godly person. But then Krishna is Deva Deva. Dev means someone who is worshipable by his qualities, particularly the quality of devotion to Krishna. That Dvobhuto Sarga Lokesmin Daiva Asura Evacha Vishnu Bhakta Smrito Daiva Asuryas Tadviparya. Two kinds of people in this world. One is called God, godly. They are devotees of Krishna. And the others, they are the opposite. They have all the bad qualities. They are called demons. So you can see who is devotee, who is demon, which you can see by the qualities. Demons, their qualities are also given. What are those qualities? Now my brain is completely empty. I can't remember. What is that? Can you remember? No, this is Dambho. The list of bad qualities is given first. There's so many bad things, but Krishna summarizes first with Dambho, Darpa, Vimanas, Cha, Krodha, Parishrameva, Cha, Agyana, Cha, Vidyata, Partha, Sampadam, Asurin. And then he goes on with Jagadahur and Vishwarimba. Dambha. Actually, most of these are the same. Dambha means great pride, darpa, conceit. I'm so great, I'm so abhiman, puffed up like hell. False ego. Krodha, angry, unnecessarily angry. Parusha, very harsh, nasty. You see, grossly materialistic people, they take pleasure in making jokes at others' expense, making them look small. This is what they call humor in the Western world. Mostly it's cutting people down and making them look stupid, isn't it? All these TV programs they have, it's just to make someone else look foolish and stupid and small. This is the quality of the demon. And just harshness, envy of others. Agyana, no knowledge. They don't know what is the goal of life. These are demons. So one is qualified as Deva or Asura by his qualities. And Krishna is Deva Deva. He is worshipped by those who are worshipable. Those who are worshipable by their qualities, they don't actually want to be worshipped. They want to worship Krishna. And they bring others also to worship Krishna. So a devotee is automatically expected to develop some qualities just by performing devotional service, because that example is given in the Upanishads. Prabhupada many times told that. Just like the iron is put in the fire, it becomes hot, hotter, till it becomes the same quality as fire. It means if you touch that iron to anything, it will burn. So in the same way, a devotee, by coming in contact with Krishna, then he gets the qualities of Krishna. That's one of those nyais. What's that called? And also I'm not remembering. I mean, the example is given, the wasp captures one insect. And then the insect is captured by him. And by meditation on that wasp, he's so afraid of him, he takes on the same qualities. So, yasyasti bhakti bhagavatya kinchana sayavara gunais tatra samasati sura. By being devotee, one is expected to develop qualities automatically. Just like Prabhupada said, there's no need, we're not promoting vegetarianism. We're not going all over the world promoting, you should be a vegetarian. We're not going here and there saying non-violence. But by promoting Krishna consciousness, everything else which is desirable automatically comes. Because if someone becomes a devotee of Krishna, then automatically he becomes a vegetarian, automatically he becomes non-violent, automatically he becomes clean, he develops all good qualities simply by devotional service. So that should happen. Prabhupada, actually one Prabhupada in the second canto, it's a very strong statement. He says that if someone by performing devotional service doesn't develop these qualities, then he's simply an imposter. Very strong statement. One should actually become advanced. Show bottom. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to give this example. Show bottom. So in the window in the shops, they have it. In the wine shops, probably here also, I didn't look. But in the Western countries, I'm sure they're here too. In the wine shop, they have all bottles in the window. This whiskey, imported, scotch, and this. And the bottle is painted inside to look as if there's whiskey. But there's no whiskey there, because they know if there's actually whiskey in the bottle, then in the middle of the night, someone will come and break the window and take it and drink it. So they put a show bottle just to make it look, just to attract your senses. For people who are attracted to such things. But then, if you actually want to get the real whiskey, you have to go inside the shop and buy it. So the show bottle looks like the real thing, but it's not. So, imposter, show bottle, it's called show bottle. So then, it makes us all feel guilty because, well, we're all going on with devotional life, but actually, if we consider how we are advancing, well, anyway, I shouldn't say this about anyone else, but it doesn't seem we're getting anywhere very fast. That example, what this done says for rowing the boat. Here we are, every day, going to Mangalarti, chanting, somehow or other, sound is coming from our mouth, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. How much love is there? It's maybe not even measurable, because zero is not to be measured. Anyway, we're going on with this, but it doesn't seem like we're making much progress. That example, rowing the boat all night. The boatman was rowing the boat. When they woke up in the morning, all the passengers they saw, we moved exactly nowhere, because the boat was tied up. We forgot to untie the boat. So remaining attached to sense gratification, even though we're going on in devotional service, still we don't make much progress. So, what to do? Well, we could untie the rope. That's a good idea. The attachments of sense gratification. Untie. Give up the idea of sense gratification. Then we can make very quick progress. Even going beyond the demigods. The demigods, they're devotees, they're highly elevated persons, but their progress may not be so fast because they're being attached to the prospect of sense gratification. They may not be going very fast anyway. They may not be advancing very quickly. So, it's a very good idea. People devotees often ask, well, how can we make quick progress in Krishna consciousness? Give up sense gratification? Then everything we're doing, this rising early, going to Mangalarti, chanting all these things, we're doing, but if we're harboring the thoughts of sense gratification, then it's like pouring on the fire. This side you're pouring kerosene, and this side you're pouring water. So we may be pouring more kerosene than water, but still, we don't get a clear fire, we get a lot of smoke. So what to do? Anyway, we have to go on with Krishna consciousness. If we go on with Krishna consciousness, even though due to our crippled mentality we're still attached to the idea of sense gratification, certainly Krishna will help us. There are many verses in the scriptures which describe how we should just go on with our Krishna consciousness, just keep on going. That's some famous Sankirtan motto, book distribution motto in German. We have some, you know what it is? It's famous in Harikesh Maharaj's zone, some German word. I can't even begin to, like pardon or something like this. It means something like, anyway, the translation is, just keep on going. Because book distribution, especially in the Western countries, you're out there in an environment which is, unlike in India, which is basically quite favorable. The environment in the Western countries for preaching Krishna consciousness is right out on the street, among all kinds of people who are not interested in Krishna consciousness and don't particularly want to be interested. And the devotee's job is to make them interested by giving them Prabhupada's books. So the atmosphere is basically hostile. So it's difficult. It's difficult on the mind, and it's difficult on the body, and it's difficult on the senses. So what to do? Because the mind will be saying, don't do this. Just keep on going. And that's the motto for all of devotional service. Just keep on going. What are you going to do? My mind says this, and my tongue says this, and my belly says this, and my genital says this, and I have so many demands. Vacho vegam manasaka, just keep them under control. Keep on going in devotional life. And many verses, that despite all difficulties, taptena kampang susamikshama bhunjana evatma kritang vipakam vidvagva prabir vidadham namaste jiveta yo mukti pade sadaya bhat. So many difficulties we'll have, guaranteed. But if we keep on going, thinking that anyway I'm sinful, now I'm getting the results of my reactions. If someone goes on in his devotional life, Jiveta goes on living in this way, then Krishna will be very pleased that despite all difficulties, someone goes on with his life in devotional service, not giving up. Krishna becomes very pleased. And such a person is going back to Godhead. Krishna, this verse is Bhagavatam. This is spoken by Lord Brahma, just like this verse is spoken by Lord Brahma. So he's saying, Lord Brahma says, that such a person who goes on with that, he can go to the gates of Vaikuntha and say, hey, let me in. I got a right. It's right. Someone who goes on with devotion. Of course, the devotee won't go like that. He won't say like that. He'll say, I'm not at all fit. But actually, it becomes his right, just like the son, it becomes his right to inherit the estate of his father. So in the same way, a devotee who goes on in devotional life, he becomes so much qualified that he must go back to God. That also, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, again from the prayers of Lord Brahma,